Good morning, everyone. So today we're going to be writing our first paragraph for our Edward Tillene chapter. So I'm going to share my screen so we can jump straight into it. So to warm yourself up, I'd like you to see if you can remember what is the structure of the Edward Tillene chapters. Okay, they all follow the same pattern. The first paragraph is about Edward landing in a new place. What is the second paragraph about? What is the third, fourth, and fifth paragraph about? Can you remember? You can pause the video if you need a little bit of time to think. Okay, so the chapters go like this. Well, the paragraphs go like this. Goes first, Edward arrives in a new place. Then he's found by a new owner. Then we hear about the daily life with that new owner. Then he's going to encounter a problem. And lastly, he's going to exit from the owner. So today we're going to be writing the first paragraph where Edward arrives in a new place. So thinking back to the end of our chapter last week, we know that Edward was thrown out of a train in the middle of the night. So he might have landed on a road, it could just be a track or it could be a proper road. He might have landed in a grassy field, or he might have landed on the side of a train track. You can choose. Okay, so we're going to start by describing where he lands and how he's feeling. We're not going to introduce the new characters yet. That comes in paragraph 2. So having a look at our original paragraph 1 from the Bull and Lucy chapter, it said, bouncing around in the back of the truck, Edward wondered where he was heading. Then, without warning, he was chucked out into a dump. The disgusting garbage was piled high like a huge mountain. Helpless, Edward lay on top of orange peel, rancid bacon, and rubber tires. He was alone. Above him, the bright sky slowly turned to night. Edward was afraid. What do you notice about using the short sentences in this paragraph, like he was alone and Edward was afraid? It makes it more suspenseful. It makes you feel a little bit tense and a bit uncomfortable. So we're going to try and use that today in our first paragraph to make our reader understand how Edward is feeling. So the structure of our paragraph today is going to be, where did he come from? That is Edward. Where did he fly out of? Where is he right now? We're going to describe that setting. And lastly, we're going to state, how is he feeling? So let's dive into it. It's going to be your turn, my turn. So the first sentence we're going to write is, where did he come from? So in the Bull and Lucy chapter, it was bouncing around in the back of the truck. Edward wondered where he was going. So we left off our last chapter leaving Bull and Lucy, where he was being thrown out of the van. Maybe he landed on the ground. So we might start with somersaulting through the air, or flying through the night, or rolling down a hill, or lying on the cold hard pavement, however you would like to start it. Make sure it makes sense with your last chapter. So coming across to mine, I'm going to start with Edward landed on a, if I go back and have a look actually at my last text, here it is. It says, he fell through the air with an alarming thump. He crashed into the ground and somersaulted down a hill. So he was rolling down a hill. So I'm going to continue now with my new chapter. Okay, so I'm just going to title it up. All right, so missing chapter from Edward Tillene. And I'm going to underline that so it looks nice and neat. Okay, so we're writing, where did he come from? So, rolling down the hill. Edward caught glimpses so you could maybe say what he's seeing. Glimpses, he saw the night flash by. Edward caught glimpses of the train speeding away. Okay, and so now I know where he's come from, the train, because it's speeding away. I'm also going to add a short, sharp sentence just to like make you feel a bit sad. I'm going to do something like, goodbye, Bull, goodbye, Lucy. Oops, that's a D. by Lucy. Full stop. So those short, sharp sentences just make me feel how how Edward is feeling. So I'd like you to pause the video now and write that first sentence, please. Once you've done that, come back and press play. Okay, so we're moving on to our next sentence now, and we're going to describe where is he, okay? So we've talked about where he came from, well, he's come from the train or by rolling down the hill or flying through the air. So now we're going to be describing where is he? So, for example, in the original text, it says, then without warning, he was chucked out into a dump. So maybe now he's lying on the grass or leaning up against the train tracks or looking up at the sky. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my text first, and I'm going to do, he's rolling, so I'm going to make him stop, maybe with a nice front adverbial, suddenly. Now this is a front adverbial, what do I need after it? Comma. Suddenly, he smashed into something hard. Okay, he was lying under a tree, so maybe he's lying on a grassy field, on the side of a road. Describe what it looks like. Just say where he is, don't describe it. He was lying under a tree. I'm going to add more information separated by a comma. He was lying under a tree, breath, comma, eyes staring up at the ominous black sky. Oh, actually, I might say leaves because he's staring up at the leaves if he's under a tree. Perfect, right, so I've stated where he is. Notice how I've not really been too descriptive because our third sentence is going to be describing it. So I've said where he's come from and I've said where he is, those two sentences. So your turn, pausing the video here, can you state in one sentence, just say where he is. Come back when you're ready to describe where he is. Okay, on to our third sentence, we're going to describe the setting. So it was lots of fun describing a dump last week, where they had the disgusting garbage piled high like a huge mountain, and Edward lay helpless. So today, you're going to describe, is he in a field? Is he on the side of a road? Is he on a train track? Describe it. What can he see? What can he hear? What can he feel? What can he smell? So take a moment to think about it. My character's lying in a field under a tree, so I might say he could hear the crickets chirping or the wind howling. He can feel the wind or the grass tickling his skin. Okay, he can smell the dirt beneath him. He can taste, he probably can't taste anything, so that's probably okay. And maybe he can see the grass or the leaves or the branches swaying in the wind. So I've had a think, and now I'm going to use that information to describe it. Okay, so he was lying under a tree, eyes staring up at the ominous black leaves. He was in a field. He was in a field. The grass tickling his body, the grass tickling him, and I might describe how, maybe uncomfortably. Uncomfortably. Maybe, so that's something he can feel, or maybe also add in a sentence something he can see. Branches, maybe the tree above him. Branches swayed in the wind above him. Full stop. Right, your turn. Let me just tick that off. Describe the setting. Done. So, your turn. I'd like you to pause the video and describe what Edward is seeing. Use your 5 senses to describe his location. Once you've done that, come back and press play. Okay, so on to our next sentence. What is he feeling? Okay, so in our original text, in our Bull and Lucy chapter, we said he was alone. Above him, the bright sky slowly turned to night. Edward was afraid. Now, it's already nighttime, so we can't use that same sentiment, but we can definitely use sentences like he was helpless, he was powerless, he was stranded. Short and sharp. Okay, so coming across to mind, something that would make him afraid, well, something that would make me afraid if I was in the middle of the field would be if it was like dead quiet. That would be really freaky. So I might say silence. Maybe you could say surrounded him, clothed him, encircled him. I'm going to say silence enveloped him. You are, of course, welcome to use the same vocabulary that I do. Enveloped Edward. And now I want to really, so that's a lovely short sentence. So I'm going to hit it home. How does he feel? He was alone and he was terrified. Full stop. Okay, your turn. Pause the video here. Write those last short, sharp sentences telling me how Edward is feeling. And once you've done that, come back for our editing. Okay, now that you've done that, we're just going to go through and edit my paragraph. I can tick off how is he feeling. Okay, so editing in a different color pencil or pen so that you can see your corrections. Okay, you're looking for punctuation, spelling, grammar, and seeing if you can up-level any of your sentences. Rolling down the hill, Edward caught glimpses of the train speeding away. Happy with that. Goodbye, Bull, goodbye, Lucy. Oh, actually, reading that again, I had a breath. Rolling down the hill, Edward caught. So I've actually paused there. What do I need when I pause? I need a comma to separate my French adverbial. Suddenly, he smashed into something hard. He was lying under a tree, eyes staring up at the ominous black leaves. I've got adjective, adjective, noun. That makes it a noun phrase. What do I need to separate my noun phrase? A comma. Excellent. Oh, I spotted another mistake. I just noticed it. I've got goodbye, Lucy. Lucy is a name. I need a capital letter. Let's keep going. He was in a field. Oh, field is one of those really tricky words to spell. So I'm going to cross it out. I before E except after C as much as we can. So F-I-E-L-D. Field. So if you spelt field, fix it up. He was in a field, the grass tickling him uncomfortably. Branches swayed in the wind above him. Silence enveloped Edward. He was alone and he was terrified. Lovely. So I'm happy with this, but I think I could change maybe some of the sentences to make it better. I'm actually going to split, rather than he was alone and he was terrified, I think it would sound more punchy if it was just short, sharp sentences. I'm going to cross out the and split it into 2 sentences. He was alone, he was terrified. That sounds very punchy now. Okay, your turn. Go back and edit your paragraph, okay? All right, that is the end of writing our first paragraph today. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to be writing the second paragraph in our Edward Tulane missing chapter, okay? This is where we're going to introduce our brand new character, the person who finds him in the field or side of the road or wherever you've written that he landed, okay? So before we get started on writing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through my book and I'm going to look at my plan, okay? So I know that for my character, Edward is going to be found by a teacher. Okay, the teacher is on her way to school. She walks through the field to school and she's going to take him to the classroom. Her name is Miss Light. She teaches year 4 and she's going to call Edward Teddy. So I'm going to use these facts to help me write my paragraph. So check your plan before we start writing. So if you need to pause the video to get your plan out, please do so now. And once you've done that, come back and press play. But for everybody else, let's continue on. So this paragraph really is going to focus on speech. Speech is going to move the story forward or tell us how the character is feeling. So looking at the paragraph from Edward meeting Bull and Lucy, we have Edward was contemplating whether he would ever make it out when he felt a dog nibbling on his feet. Soon the dog pulled him from under the rubbish. He was free. They ran and ran until they reached a railway. There he was dropped in front of a large pair of feet. "What's this, Lucy?" said a man as he picked up Edward. "Shall we take him with us?" Lucy danced around his feet, barking and wagging her tail. The man, who was called Bull, placed Edward into his backpack and set off walking. "I think you like Edward, don't you, Lucy?" Bull said, patting the dog. "Yes, yes, so do I." So looking at the speech in this particular section, we've got speech here about "What's this, Lucy?" Does that speech move the story forward or tell us how the character is feeling? It moves the story forward by telling us that they're going to be taking Edward with them. And what about this speech? "I think you like Edward, don't you, Lucy?" said Bull. "Yes, yes, so do I." Does that speech move the story forward? No, but it does tell me, very importantly, how the character feels about Edward. So we're going to try to replicate this paragraph in our books today. So our paragraph is going to follow this structure. First, we're going to write how is Edward found. Then we're going to write who finds him using our speech. Number 3, where will they take them? And number 4, what does the new owner say about the main character? So your turn, my turn. Remember, you're writing your own story. However, you need to follow the same structure so that it looks like an Edward Tulane chapter. Okay, so watching me do mine, and then you'll be going off to do yours. So first I'm going to write how is Edward found. So we know that Edward was found when Lucy dug him out of the trash by nibbling on his foot. So in this one, is it going to be a shadow looms over him? Is he going to hear people approaching? Are heavy footsteps going to alert him to somebody nearby? So you could use these front adverbials, or you could use something from your writing from last week. Coming over to mine, I know that where I left it here, Edward was alone and Edward was terrified. It was nighttime, so I'm actually going to start by changing the time of day. So coming down 2 lines to leave a break for a paragraph, I'm going to start with hours passed. And the sky lightened. And then I'm going to introduce how is he going to be found. I think someone's just going to walk up to him. I'm not going to have anything like a dog or anything, but you can. Maybe there's an animal traveling with the circus that finds the toy. Maybe a child from the classroom picks up Edward. It's up to you, okay? But no speaking yet, just introducing how is he going to be found. So without warning, a shadow loomed, such a lovely word for something scary, loomed over him. Okay, so I could just leave it there. Okay, I don't need to say anything else. However, I am, because I want my character to pick Edward up. So the world spun around him as he was lifted off the ground. Full stop. Lovely. So your turn now. How is your character found? Notice I haven't said who found him. I've just said that somebody's found him because there's somebody who's picked him up. Okay, so your turn now. I'd like you to pause the video, go away and write how is Edward found. Once you've done that, come back and press play. Okay, welcome back. We're going to now write who finds him by using the speech. So looking at the example text on the board, we see, "What's this, Lucy?" said a man as he picked up Edward. Okay, so I know that I've got 2 characters, one called Lucy, which is probably a gal, and the other is a man. Okay, and I then learned Lucy is the dog because he's barking and wagging her tail. So we use this speech to move the story forward because they ask, shall we take him with us? So I know that this person is going to bring the rabbit with them. So maybe our person could say, what have we here? Or what's this, a china rabbit? Or who left this here? So coming across to mine, I'm going to introduce, I ticked off how are they found. So who finds them now? I can tick off, so maybe they're going to say, so speech marks, capital letter, what on earth are you doing out here? So speech marks, capital letter, punctuation. I'm going to do a question mark and speech marks. Okay, what on earth are you doing out here? So now I need a reporting clause to say who did it. You could introduce their name, said Miss Light. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to indicate that it's a woman. Came the voice. Of a young woman. Okay, so I've now said who finds them, but I haven't moved the story forward. It's just a question. So maybe she could say something like, why, I might take this beautiful rabbit with me, or would you like to come and be part of my class? Or if you're writing about the circus, you could say, would you like to be our new animal for our circus show? Or would you like to be my co-pilot? Or you'd make a beautiful gift for my daughter, or something like that. Something that's going to move the story forward and tell me where Edward is going, or that basically that this person's going to take it. So what on earth are you doing out here? Came the voice of a young woman. Now, because I'm going to continue my speech, I'm going to turn that full stop into a comma, and I'm going to put speech marks. I can't leave you out here. All right, now this is the end of the sentence, so I need a full stop and speech marks. Done. I know she's going to take him because she says, I can't leave you out here. So your turn, pausing the video, using the speech to do two things: introduce the character and indicate that this new person is going to take Edward with them. Once you've done that, come back and press play. All right, we're on to our third sentence, where what do they do with him? So the man put Edward in his backpack and started walking. So maybe similar, this new character puts him in their suitcase, or their travel bags, or they tie him on top of their caravan. What do they do with him? So tucked into such and such's backpack, or bouncing along, or feeling relieved to be on the move again, Edward was placed such and such. So my turn, coming back down. So number 3. Where do they take him, or where do they put Edward? So she's going to just take him with her. So I'm going to say the young woman what did she do? So the young woman turned and tucked Edward into her handbag, making sure he could see over the edge. So I'm really trying to paint a picture of where Edward is, okay? And I want to say that, you know, what's she doing? I've said that she is a teacher. She's in this field, so I need to say, where is she going? Is she going to keep walking with him? So I'm going to change it to a comma. And continued walking across the fields. Spelling that tricky, field, F-I-E-L-D, okay? Full stop. Right, so I know she's going to take him. She puts him in her handbag, and off she goes across the fields. All right, your turn. Pausing the video. Where do they take him, or where do they put him? Okay, where are they off to? All right, pause the video. Once you've done that, come back and press play. You can tick off number 3. Here we go, number 4. So the last thing we're going to do is use a little bit of speech to indicate how the character feels, your new person feels about Edward. So maybe they could say something like, he's our friend now, or you'll be a great friend for us, or you can come on an adventure with me or with us, okay? So this might be a chance to introduce, if I haven't introduced the name of my character, so I'm actually going to introduce them in this final bit of speech, all right? So I need to start my speech, speech marks, capital letter, you will be a great addition to my class. So this is moving the story forward because it's telling me where Edward's going. They're in year 4 and love new friends. My name is, now I can introduce my character, Miss Light. So you can use whatever name you like. And I think last thing I'm going to say in this speech is, I know that she likes him and that she's excited for him to be there, but she hasn't given him a name. So I'm going to say, I think I will call you. I want her to think for a second, so I'm going to use ... to show she's thinking. Teddy. Punctuation, speech marks, and now I need to say who said it. So how did she say it? She laughed. Laughed the woman. She's laughing because it's a joke. Laughed the woman, amused at her own joke. Okay. So I've now used a bit of speech to tell my readers how she feels. So she likes Edward, I can tell. And I've also used it to move the story forward because I know he's going to join her class in year 4. Your turn now. I'd like you to pause the video, go through and go away and write that final bit of speech that tells me, that tells me how the character feels about Edward. Once you've done that, come back and press play to do your editing. All right, welcome back. Time to do our editing. We've done number 4. So editing, we're looking for full stops, capital letters, all the punctuation, correct speech marks is going to be very important today. So helping me go through mine, hopefully you spot my errors before I do. Hours passed and the sky lightened. Without warning, pause, a shadow loomed over him. That's a fronted adverbial, it needs a comma. A shadow loomed over him. The world spun around him as he was lifted off the ground. What on earth are you doing out here? Let me check my speech. Speech marks, capital letter, punctuation, speech. Excellent. Came the voice of a young woman. I can't leave you out here. Let me check. Speech marks, capital letter, punctuation, speech marks. Lovely, I'm happy. The young woman turned and tucked Edward into her handbag, making sure, I paused there. The young woman turned and tucked Edward into her handbag. So I paused, so I need a comma, making sure he could see over the edge, and continued walking across the field. Excellent. Now, let me check. So going on, you will be a great addition to my class. Let me check my speech marks. Speech marks, capital, no capital letter. Crossing it out, capital letter. You will be a great addition to my class. They're in year 4. Year 4 is the name of the group, so it should be capital Y, and 4 should be written out as a word, not a number. They're in year 4. I love new friends. My name is Miss Light. Oh, her light is her name, so it needs a capital letter. I think I will call you Teddy. Right, so let me just check my speech again. Speech marks, capital letter, punctuation, speech marks. But I've made an error. I've used a full stop. Is that the end of the sentence? Well, no, because I haven't said who said it. I think I will call you Teddy, laughed the woman, amused at her own joke. So this is not the end of the sentence. This is the end of the sentence. So here, I don't want a full stop. I want a comma. So I'm just going to correct that. Excellent. Right. So go through your work and edit it, please. Make sure that you get all of those things, particularly pay attention to the speech marks that we are really focusing on in this lesson, and names for, capital letters for names, all right? That's the end of our second paragraph, so I'll see you next time to write our third paragraph. Bye.